What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and I have some good news, and I have some bad news. What you want first? All right. Hey, let's start with the good stuff, right? The good news is the LA Rams are back in first place in the NFC West. Well, sort of. I mean, they're tied for first with them damn Niners, who, because they've already beaten the Rams once, are technically in first place, even though they're tied at 3-3. And with the surprising Seattle Seahawks, also 3-3. The only last place team in the division is the Arizona Cardinals at 2-4. And so that's some good news. The Rams defeated the Carolina Panthers on Sunday, 24-10. Good news. Hey, and the defense, the LA Rams defense, is playing some pretty good ball. They only allowed the Carolina Panthers 3 points. Only 3 points. The other 7 points came off that poltergeist strike, pick six, poltergeist strike. But this is the good news. Let's keep it on track with the good news. The good news. Only 1 sack allowed by the Rams offensive line. That's an improvement. The good news. McGenius is listening to, I hope, my advice. He rushed the ball 27 times on Sunday. And you know I've been talking about in past episodes that 25-20 rule. He got to eclipse 20 rushes. So he had 27 rushes for 114 yards. That's good news. There were 7 ball carriers on Sunday, so they spread the rock around. Good news. 8 pass catchers on Sunday, spreading the rock around. This is good news. McGenius has unveiled, if you like to call it, a new wrinkle. And that is, he has employed the use of Mr. Brandon Powell. Remember last year? I hope you watched some of my past episodes now. Last year, I repeatedly called on McGenius to employ Mr. Powell as the sole punt returner because last year he had that awful penchant of running Super Cup back to receive punts. You don't want to do that. And now Brandon Powell is your sole punt returner. And I repeatedly suggested last year in the run-up to the Super Bowl that McGenius employ Brandon Powell as a wide receiver. And he is doing so now this year, catching the ball, running fly sweeps, making use of his speed. And I like to see it. All good news. More good news, my folks. A-Rob, who, unfortunately, last episode, I nicknamed the Buster. A-Rob came through with 5 catches, his most in a single game as a Ram so far. 5 catches, 63 yards, and he got that touchdown. He got that touchdown on the fade route, and so this was easily A-Rob's best game as a Ram, and that is good news. The Rams on Sunday were 6 for 12, that's 50%, on third down. And that is good news. So as you can see, my folks, there was plenty of good news from the Rams' victory on Sunday. But now, I got to give you the bad news now. There's some bad news. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit you with it. I'm going to keep this episode down in running time. I'm going to hit you with the bad news, give you a quick first half game analysis, and wrap it up as the Rams and myself head into the bye. The bad news. The O-line shuffle continues. And Joe Note Go Boom went go boom bye-bye. Down and out with a ruptured Achilles. So Note Boom gone for the season. And if you recall now, the first episode for this NFL year, chronicling the Rams, I predicted, remember I gave you an over-under on Note Go Boom. I said now he's been prone to injury in the past. And I said the over-under for Note Go Boom to go out for significant time with an injury was 4 games. So my prediction held true. 5 games done for the season. So that O-line shuffle has to continue. That's bad news. More bad news. Cam the Grill Akers inactive for this past game against Carolina due to personal reasons. We don't know exactly what those personal reasons are. But the rumor is, word on the street, the Grill is on the trade block. So these issues with the Grill have been reported for some time now. There have been different rumors that have bubbled up about his practice habits, and perhaps there's some type of personal issues involved with McGenius. I don't know. But the Grill may very well have played his last game as a Ram on the trade block and most likely on his way out of town. More bad news. The poltergeist. Matty from the D. Doctor Who once again threw another pick six. Another pick six. In 6 games, the man has 8 interceptions to lead the NFL. He leads the NFL in pick sixes. And you can rely on Doctor Who to throw an interception at least once every game. And it seems to me there are at least every game 1 or 2 more interceptions that the defenses fumble and drop away. He threw the 1 pick six, but 2 more interceptions, 2 more haunted gifts were dropped and rejected by the defense. We could have had 3. And that's bad news. This trend stinks. Something wrong. More bad news, my folks. There is no deep ball threat from the Rams wide receiver unit. It's just not there. And they've tried with Tutu, and they've tried now to incorporate Brandon Powell, and I like to see it. But it's just not there. And what will OBJ do? We just don't know. And they keep saying in the media, well, Van Jefferson will be back. And when Van Jefferson gets back, and Van Jefferson, I'm not certain Van Jefferson is going to provide the answer that people seem to think he will. He can't hurt, but I'm not sure he's the savior that they're making him out to be. And so, yet again, I call on Mr. McWonder to heed my cries. Hear me now. Mr. McWonder, you need to promote L. McCutcheon from your practice squad to the active roster. Now, I've been saying this all season long. I don't know why you don't hear me. He dressed for 2 games, did not play. Coach's decision. We talked about this in previous episodes. You need to let the man get some run because he, unlike the guys you have now, can stretch the defense. And you need that because right now you absolutely have no deep threat. Super Cup is balling out of his mind and doing his thing. He's not a deep threat. Okay? A-Rob, I'm going to hold off on calling him the Buster. Let's see how he performs after the bye. But A-Rob has not shown himself to be a deep threat. Tutu, I haven't seen it. He did catch 1 ball and 1 ball only in his entire career, if I'm not mistaken. He has not shown himself to be a reliable deep threat. And you know good and damn well, Stoney is not a deep threat, no matter how much you wish it were otherwise. So you need help, sir, and we do not know what OBJ is going to do. Promote McCutcheon to the active roster. So now you see, we've got some bad news issues. The Rams had 7 penalties in this game. That's too many now, but you almost expect that with the O-line shuffle in full effect. And here's the other thing. The Carolina Panthers may very well be the worst team in the NFL. If they're not the worst, they're the second worst. Okay? And you trailed Carolina at the half. And you know your record when you're trailing at the half. So it was good to see that you were able to pull that game out. But in the first half, the Boo Birds were out in the crowd, and deservedly so, because the Rams looked bad. Bad on offense. That's the bad news. So after the bye, the next 4 games, the Rams play them damn Niners. They play the GOAT. They play the Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. And so you could, if things break well, you could be looking at a split there, and you're still at 5-5 after 10 games. And so there are issues there out there on the horizon if there is not significant improvement made over the bye. So, Mr. McWonder, I'm hoping that you are a subscriber and that you hear my cries. Now, let's double back to the good news. Because one thing I was pleased to see was, for the first time this season, guess who was QB2? What? Bryce Perkins was on the sideline dressed as QB2. Well, I'll be damned. I was very pleased to see that. Now, I understand Wolford has some type of a neck injury. I don't know how he got injured, seeing as how he does not play. Maybe he tripped and fell at home. I don't know. But for whatever the reason, the Wolford was on the inactive list and did not dress, and I implore you, Mr. McWonder, leave him there. Keep Bryce Perkins as QB2. This will be one of the better moves you could make. It would signal to your team that you're serious about what it takes to defend your championship. Promote Lance McCutcheon onto the active roster. Signal to the team that you're serious about this. My hope is that the Rams can attain a level of offensive line health and continuity starting now, going through the bye and moving on into the next portion of the schedule. Let's get to the game analysis. We're just going to do the first half game analysis, and we're going to do an abbreviated version. Let's get to game analysis, shall we? Now, as I mentioned, it was pleasant to me to see Bryce Perkins as QB2. This should be a permanent change, Mr. McWonder. And I mentioned I saw a new wrinkle by Coach McGenius. What was it, you ask? It was that he backed away from Stoney, backed away from all of that full-back shifting stuff, and has started to go in a much heavier and I think smarter direction in employing the use of Brandon Powell. Mr. Powell got very heavy action in the game plan, and he was employed with the fly sweeps. He was employed in the pass game. And so he got carries from the backfield. He got catches from the wide receiver slot. I'd like to see more of that, especially since at this point in time, you don't really have a viable deep threat. So starting the game in familiar Rams 11 personnel, you had Darrell Henderson, who I had been calling for to be your starter now, and apparently now that's a done deal, with the grill being on the block. So you had Darrell Henderson in the backfield, your three wide receivers to start the game: Soup, A-Rob, and Brandon Powell. And I like it. And of course, Higbee was out there doing his thing, but apparently Higbee has a bit of a nagging injury. There wasn't much Higbee soup in the Carolina game. Higbee, I believe, only had one catch. But Soup, of course, was in full effect. And so from 11 personnel, the wrinkle this week was in the shotgun. Doctor Who, he has split on either side of him, Darrell Henderson, the tailback, and Brandon Powell, the wide receiver. And then Powell would go in motion. And so variations of that formation were repeatedly shown by McGenius. And I liked it. And I will give Stoney a little credit. Now, he did get in on the game. He hasn't been eliminated from the game plan. But McGenius seems to be coming to his senses. You cannot build a title defense off the legend of Stoney Wolfunk. Now go back and watch some of these prior episodes if you don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't seen hide nor hair of Jake Funk. I don't even know if he's still on the team. And the Wolf was in street clothes Sunday, and Stoney regressed a little bit in terms of his activity in the game plan. All good decisions, Coach McWonder. You're welcome. So as I mentioned now, the game started slowly. Carolina dominated the ball the first quarter. In fact, the Rams only had one possession the whole first quarter. And Carolina took a 3-0 lead into the second quarter. And right away, right at the start of the second quarter, Go Boom went goodbye, down with the torn Achilles. And so he had to be carted off the field. And you see why the Rams have the worst ranked run game in the entire NFL. But with McGenius downsizing the stone-handed one and employing much more use of Brandon Powell, it gives me some hope. It's 2nd and 5. Rams with the ball from the Carolina 21-yard line. And damn, the poltergeist strikes. He strikes again. But wait, hold it. Offsetting penalties. offsetting penalties. That wiped out an interception. And the Rams continued to drive the ball. And so the drive continues. And after a couple of nice runs by D. Henderson and a catch, the Rams get the ball down to the Carolina 5-yard line, 1st and goal. Matty from the D throws the fade route to, who is it? Who is it? It's A-Rob with the touchdown. A-Rob scores on the fade catch. Touchdown Rams, 7-3 Rams, 7-3 Rams. Late in the second quarter, just about a couple of minutes left before halftime, after Carolina goes 3 and out. And the Rams, back on offense, looking to score some more points, take advantage of that momentum. They're driving a little bit, and then Matty from the D drops back. Awful pass, and you know what time it is, don't you? Poltergeist strike! Oh, damn, poltergeist strike! Again, you can rely on it every game. And so, another interception. This time, it's a pick six. Touchdown, Carolina. And just like that, the momentum completely spins on its axis. And now, it's 10-7 Carolina. 10-7 Carolina at the half. And you know McGenius has trouble when he's trailing at halftime. And so, fortunately, as we've already covered, this game would prove to be an exception. More good news, the Rams would score 17 points in the second half. On offense, they allowed 0 on defense, and the Rams would win this game going away 24-10. Sealed at the end by Nick the Thumper Scott's interception. And so, the Rams go to 3-3 at the bye. Then they have time to nurse and heal their wounds. And hopefully for McGenius to improve upon his less than stellar play calling in the first 6 games. So I recommend you and Mr. McWonder, if you haven't already, go back and look at my previous episodes for some great ideas, suggestions, and advice on how to turn this thing around before it's too late. Now, as I said last episode, I am not yet prepared to put the fork in the Rams, but I'm keeping the fork close by. Okay? The reality is, the Rams do not match up well against them damn Niners at all. And I don't see anything right now that suggests to me they're going to be prepared to defeat them after the bye. Just keeping it 100. So, as I said before, I hope that from the next 4 games, the Rams can at least manage to split them. If not, 3-1 would be ideal. But because, you know, the old GOAT got issues now. He's not playing so great. Did you see him barking at his offensive line? Letting them have it. He's troubled. He's got outside distractions and issues. So Tampa Bay can be got. Okay? And so can the Cardinals. You know they're in trouble, and they're in last place. That could be 2 wins. New Orleans, they're up and down. Why not? So even if you don't defeat them damn Niners, you still can come out of this 4-game stretch 3-1. But at the very least, I'm hoping they're 5-5 after 10. I just don't know how much longer the team can survive with a haunted quarterback. This is why I have repeatedly called for restraints to be placed on that poltergeist, that haunted quarterback, Doctor Who. You've got to run the ball. And so I was pleased to see the Rams attempt to run the rock more and to spread those carries around. Final numbers from the game on Sunday. 27 carries by Rams running backs for 111. Strike that. 27 rushes, 114 yards for Rams running backs. D. Henderson leading the way, 12 carries for 43 yards and a hard-fought touchdown. On the receiving end, Matty from the D. 33 attempts. It's a little heavy for my liking. It's within that range of 25, though. So, 26 of 33, 253 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, pick 6, as we discussed. Defense held its own against Carolina, but they were playing against a 4th-string quarterback and an interim coach who just took over the reins. I like that McGenius spread the pass catches around and didn't rely so heavily on that Higbee soup he likes to consume. And shout out again to the defense. Ernest Jones still balling out. Led the team with 5 tackles, 2 assists. Bobby Wags, B-Wags, had 4 tackles and 3 assists. And Ashes got himself another sack. His 2nd sack of his career. 2nd this year. So kudos all around there. With the good news and the bad news, you can see the scales are pretty evenly weighted. And so, at 3-3, that seems about right for the Rams so far. What happens from here remains to be seen, but what we can be certain of is that I will be here to cover it. So, until the next time, my friends, which you can be sure won't be too much longer from this time, throw me one of these. Now, throw me one of these. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you'll be notified when I drop my next video. And until then, my friends, one love.